Every gardener knows the sinking feeling of discovering overnight slug damage in their prized vegetable patch. Those telltale silvery trails winding between your lettuce leaves, the perfectly round holes in your hostas, and the decimated seedlings you've nurtured for weeks. It's enough to make any green-thumbed enthusiast want to throw in the trowel. I've been there myself, standing in my garden at dawn, coffee in hand, surveying the nocturnal destruction that seems to happen no matter how vigilant I am. For years, I waged war against these slimy invaders using every method imaginable: beer traps, copper barriers, even midnight slug hunts with a flashlight and a bucket of soapy water. While these methods had varying degrees of success, I was missing a crucial perspective. What if, instead of viewing slugs as the enemy, we could transform this garden challenge into an opportunity for soil improvement? This shift in thinking has revolutionized not just my approach to slug management, but my entire composting strategy. The solution lies in understanding that slugs, while destructive to our plants, are actually nature's recyclers. They're decomposers by design, breaking down organic matter and returning nutrients to the soil. By harnessing this natural process and channeling it into our composting systems, we can turn our slug problem into a soil-boosting solution that benefits our entire garden ecosystem. When we incorporate slugs into our composting process, we're tapping into a nutrient goldmine that, honestly, a lot of gardeners tend to overlook. Slugs are incredibly rich in nitrogen, which is actually one of the 3 primary macronutrients that plants desperately need for healthy growth. Their soft bodies decompose rapidly, releasing this nitrogen in a form that's, readily available to plants. This makes slug-enhanced compost particularly valuable for leafy greens, herbs, and really any plants that benefit from a nitrogen boost during their growing season. Beyond their nutritional value, composting slugs represents a sustainable and ethical approach to garden management. Instead of using chemical slug pellets that can harm beneficial insects, birds, and even pets, we're actually working with nature's own systems. This method, reduces waste by utilizing what would otherwise be considered garden pests, transforming them into valuable soil amendments. It's a perfect example of permaculture principles in action, where problems become solutions and waste becomes resources. Perhaps most importantly, incorporating slugs into your composting routine helps naturally regulate their population in your garden. By providing them with an alternative food source and habitat in your compost pile, you're really redirecting their attention away from your precious plants. This creates a more balanced ecosystem where slugs can fulfill their ecological role without devastating your crops. The result is a healthier garden environment that relies less on external interventions and more on natural balance. So, the key to successful slug composting really lies in creating a dedicated system that maximizes their beneficial decomposition while minimizing any potential drawbacks. Setting up a separate compost bin specifically for slug management is, honestly, essential. Now, this doesn't have to be elaborate. A simple wire mesh cylinder or even a repurposed plastic container with drainage holes works perfectly fine. The important thing here is that this bin is distinct from your main compost pile, which lets you monitor and control the process much more effectively. Location is crucial for your slug compost bin. You'll want to place it in a partially shaded area of your garden, away from your main growing areas but still easily accessible for regular maintenance. And, the bin should be positioned where it can receive some natural moisture from rain, but won't become waterlogged. A slight slope or a raised position really helps with drainage, preventing those anaerobic conditions that can lead to unpleasant odors and, honestly, pretty ineffective decomposition. The magic of slug composting happens when you achieve the right balance of materials. Since slugs are nitrogen-rich, you'll need to add plenty of carbon-rich materials to create the ideal composting environment. Dry leaves, shredded paper, cardboard, sawdust, and straw all serve as excellent carbon sources. The ratio should be approximately 3 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen, which means for every handful of slugs and slug-damaged plant material, you should add 3 handfuls of carbon-rich materials. This balance ensures proper decomposition while preventing the pile from becoming smelly or attracting unwanted pests. Begin your slug composting journey by establishing a collection routine that fits naturally into your garden maintenance schedule. The most effective time to collect slugs is during their peak activity periods, early morning or evening when they're most visible. Rather than viewing this as a chore, consider it part of your garden's natural rhythm. When collecting slugs, handle them gently and avoid using salt or chemical treatments that would make them unsuitable for composting. If you prefer not to handle them directly, use tweezers, tongs, or simply tip them into your collection container. So remember, we're not really aiming to get rid of every single slug from the garden. Instead, we're just redirecting their energy, toward decomposition instead of letting them destroy our plants. Once you've gathered up your slugs, it's time to add them into your dedicated compost bin. Be sure to layer them between carbon-rich materials, making sure they're well covered. This kind of layering actually does a few things. It helps prevent odors, it speeds up decomposition, and it creates just the right environment for those beneficial microorganisms to thrive. Oh, and don't forget to toss in a handful of finished compost or some garden soil. That way, you're introducing decomposer organisms that'll help break down all that organic matter a whole lot more efficiently. Monitoring your slug compost requires regular attention but not daily intervention. So, you'll want to check the pile weekly, looking for signs of proper decomposition such as reduced volume, an earthy smell, and the gradual breakdown of materials. The pile should feel slightly warm to the touch, which indicates active microbial activity. If it feels cold or smells unpleasant, you may need to add more carbon-rich materials or turn the pile to improve aeration. And remember, maintain moisture levels similar to a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping wet. The transformation from slug problem to soil solution typically takes, about 3 to 6 months depending on your climate and maintenance routine. You'll know your slug compost is ready when it has transformed into a dark, crumbly material that smells earthy and rich. The original slugs will be completely decomposed, leaving behind nutrient-dense compost that rivals any commercial fertilizer. This finished compost will be teeming with beneficial microorganisms and packed with the nitrogen that once made those slugs so destructive to your plants. Using your slug-enhanced compost is where the magic really happens. This nutrient-rich amendment works wonders when mixed into planting beds, used as a top dressing for established plants, or incorporated into potting mixes for container gardens. The high nitrogen content makes it particularly valuable for leafy greens, herbs, and any plants that benefit from a growth boost. Apply it just as you would any other compost, working it into the soil or using it as a mulch around plants. The results honestly speak for themselves. Plants that are fed with slug compost often show improved vigor, deeper green foliage, and enhanced resistance to environmental stresses. Over time, the soil structure just gets better, becoming more porous and able to retain moisture while still draining well. You'll notice that your garden needs less supplemental fertilization, and the overall health of your soil ecosystem improves dramatically. This approach to slug management, it really represents a fundamental shift in how we view garden challenges. Instead of fighting against nature, we're actually working with it, transforming problems into solutions and waste into resources. Your slug compost becomes a testament to the power of permaculture thinking, honestly proving that even the most frustrating garden problems can become valuable assets with the right perspective and approach. If you found value in this guide to transforming slug problems into soil-boosting compost, make sure to subscribe to Smart Garden for more innovative gardening solutions that work with nature rather than against it. And hey, share this video with fellow gardeners who might be struggling with their own slug challenges. Together, we can revolutionize how we approach garden management, one compost pile at a time.